everyone, and welcome to my video on how to set an anchor. So in this video we'll go through what an anchor is, how to set one, and then we'll actually practice it together, because the best thing to do as soon as you've learned something is to practice it. So I hope I've got your attention for the next few minutes, and here we go. So first of all, what is an anchor? Well, an anchor is anything where, I'm not talking about a ship's anchor here, but the concept is similar. It's anything where something happens, you respond in a different way. That's predetermined, it's subconscious, and it's really fast. So for example, when you see a red light, you stop, hopefully, if you drive, or if you see a red man while you're crossing the road, you stop. Also, there might be certain songs that you listen to that evoke certain emotions. So for me, whenever I hear the song that my husband and I walked into together on our wedding reception, I always get this emotion of a little bit of nerves, everyone's looking at me, a bit of excitement, the wedding went well and we're married now, a little bit of, ooh, what's to come, anticipation. So I get all those mixture of emotions from this one song. And you might have certain songs that evoke certain emotions in you. Another anchor might be a certain smell. So if you smell freshly baked bread, for example, you might get certain emotions. For me, the smell of fried food helps me feel cozy, and I think that's because my mum always cooked fried food when lots of family were coming over, and I'd be seeing all my cousins and all my aunts and all my uncles. So for me, the smell of fried food is linked to this cozy family atmosphere. So we're going around, without really knowing it, we're going around with these different stimuli, creating different emotions in us, or different actions, and it's completely subconscious. But the great news is that you can actually make an anchor for yourself that's conscious. And wouldn't it be amazing if you could feel whatever feeling you want to feel, wherever you are, just by using a so-called anchor? Now, I would suggest that you make the stimulus something that you can do with your body, so you don't need anything else. You don't need a handkerchief with a certain smell on it, or you don't need to listen to a certain song. So a lot of people, when they're setting anchors, will use like a thumb and a finger pressed together, or something like that action, or touching their legs, or something like that. Something that they can do really easily, they can do really subtly to create a certain emotion. And you can use this to create any emotion, you can use it to trigger any emotion you want to. I suggest, for the purposes of this video, we use the emotion of confidence. So lots of people will anchor confidence, so when they use a certain action, they will then feel confident, and then they can then use that in situations where they wouldn't normally feel confident. So I know people have used this for public speaking, and I mentioned in my last video Tony Robbins uses this a lot. I don't think he's a shy public speaker at all, but the anchors just get him fired up even more. People have used it to give wedding speeches, for example. People have also used it if they've got a fear of flying, just to calm themselves down on the plane, to remember to be confident on the plane. People have also used it, if they've got a fear of water, but they want to go swimming with their children and things like that. So one of my colleagues has used it to overcome his fear of water and to be able to swim in the sea with his family. So you can use an anchor in lots of different situations. I use it often when I'm having a difficult conversation, just to remind myself to keep central, to keep grounded. A conversation is always a lot easier when both parties, but particularly I've only got control over my own emotions. When both parties, or particularly I, am central and grounded, conversations go a lot better. So that's what an anchor is, and I hope I've convinced you to stay with me for the next bit, which is setting an anchor. So an anchor is created in our brain either by repetition, so every time you saw a red light you stopped, and therefore you do it automatically now without really thinking about it, or when something is really highly emotional. So the song that I listened to on the way into the reception, that only happened once, but it was a really emotional time. So when we set an anchor on purpose, we play on both of those. So we get ourselves into a really emotional state and we practice it a few times, and that way the two things are linked in our brain, both through repetition and through high emotion. So I want you to just think about a time where you felt confident. And if you really can't think of anything, think about how it would be if you feel confident. Or if that gets you really, really stuck, then think about someone else who looks really confident and pretend you're them. I'll give you a couple of moments to do that. And the second step will be to choose an action that whenever you do this action, you will feel confident again. So I press my thumb and my finger together, and every time I do that, I feel that confidence surging up. For me, my confident time was when I was volunteering in India, and I didn't know the language. I didn't know how to communicate with people, but I still felt really confident because we could use gestures and body language to communicate with people who I was filling forms out for, and it just gave me this really confident feeling in myself. So whatever situation it is for you. And the third step will be to, in a moment, I'll explain what to do first, but in a moment we're going to close our eyes and imagine ourselves in that confident scenario. And when you've got that imagination really, really powerful, like I said, the emotions are really important here. So get the emotions as much as you can, feeling that confidence really vividly. And when you get there, I just want you to do your action. So for me, it'll be pressing my thumb and my finger together. For you, it'll be whatever action you've chosen. And just do that action for a few seconds and then open your eyes. So let's do that now, shall we? So if you close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths, allow your mind to settle down. And as your mind settles down, I just want you to imagine that time that you were feeling really confident. See everything you're seeing here, make it vivid and bright, hear what you're hearing, what are you telling yourself, what are people telling you. Really feel this here, this confidence. If this confidence had a colour, what colour would it be? And turn that colour up until it's all around you. And then when you're at your most vivid point in your imagination, do that action, do that anchor that you want to link to this emotion. And then you can open your eyes and come back to the room. And you can practice this a few times. So in a moment I'll do it once more with you, but it is all about repetition. You can do it at your own pace at the bus stop while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. It's really easy. And also, if you start thinking about other memories of when you were feeling confident, you can add that to the action. So then you've got a few memories that are evoked every time you do that action, which is great. So I often, whenever I'm feeling confident, will just kind of quickly add that to my anchor, and then I can use it in situations where I would be feeling less confident. And remember, you can do this with any emotion, so you can have different anchors for different emotions even. So there's happy, there's sad, I don't know if you want to anchor sad really, but if you're an actor, that might come in handy. There's calm, there's peaceful. You can anchor any emotion you want to and evoke it whenever you want. Let's try that again. So let's take a few deep breaths and just close your eyes and just take yourself back to that confident feeling. See what you're seeing, feel what you're feeling, and hear what you're hearing really vividly, really brightly. And when it's at its most vivid, most bright, just fire off that anchor for a few seconds. You can just let go and bring yourself back to the room. My pace might be too fast for some, too slow for others, but as I said, you can do this in your own time. This is just getting used to practicing it. And it's great to test your anchor out. So if you imagine yourself at some time in the future doing something you would normally find quite nerve-wracking. So for me, actually, it's really nerve-wracking filming these videos. So I'm going to imagine myself filming another video in the future and just fire off the anchor while you're imagining that situation, replacing the image of you feeling all nervous and all tense with this feeling of confidence, and just see how your body language changes, see how the output changes as you are more confident in whatever situation you're imagining. So do that for a few seconds now. So if you were watching carefully instead of closing your eyes, you'd have noticed me start to smile as I imagined filming another video, because I was firing off that anchor. And imagine doing things from a place of confidence instead of a place of sort of anxiety. It's always going to go so much better. I hope you found that useful. Anchoring is a great tool. Obviously it's not a replacement for dealing with stuff, but it's a great tool for just making sure you feel good wherever you are. Thank you for listening, and I will be uploading more videos in the future.